10 years ago, I told my friends that I wanted to become a film director and a music producer. I was slightly above average at football, but I was pretty good at making music, and I really enjoyed visual storytelling. The only problem is, I had no idea where to start. I've failed so many times trying to make this dream a reality, and in the process I learned so much that I wish I'd been knowing back then. That was smooth. So if you give me just a few minutes of your time, I'll share with you 8 of the most important lessons that I've learned over the years. These lessons helped me overcome some of the biggest hurdles, put out chart-topping music videos, perform in some of the biggest festivals, work with big brands, and the best of all, create a career that I always wanted. I learned most of this stuff through trial and error, which meant lots of failure, like a lot of them. Lots of sleepless nights, lots of feelings of inadequacy, and worst of all, pain. But you don't have to go through all that. You know why? Because I got you. So let's get into it. I know this might sound controversial given the fact that we are all looking to find ways to enjoy life, but just listen to me. Boredom will always trigger something in your mind, and your mind will try to look for ways to have fun or to add fun into your life. And this will help just free up your mind and help you be able to tap into another dimension of creativity. You understand what I'm saying? Just put everything aside and let your mind wander. Is it wander around for a minute? Then just write down the results. And when I say do the boring stuff, I don't mean like you just sit down and do nothing. Like, that's good, but you can also do stuff that does not require much thinking. For example, doing dishes does not require you to think much. It's more of instincts. I'm supposed to do this, and then I put this here. Easy. Cleaning your room, you understand? During these periods, your mind can just wander around and come up with different ideas. And I'll give you an example. The biggest song I've ever produced in my entire career, I got the idea while doing dishes. And that's just one example. I've gotten some of the best ideas while doing some of the most boring things. Going out for a run, I come up with something in my head and I'm like, this is so good, I take my phone, I record. Just while riding the bicycle, going to work, or just for fun, I come up with an idea and then I take my phone, I record it, or I type it down, and then I start working on it. And this has really helped me, like doing this boring stuff that does not require me to be creative, stuff that I just do instinctively. Just driving around late night alone, I've come up with incredible ideas, and these are things that are now paying my bills. Just this boring stuff that I've been doing have given me the ideas that have helped me be able to create a career out of what I love. So instead of lamenting over that boring job that you're doing, you can use it as an inspiration to help you come up with an idea of what you want to do. If it means gaining the courage to change the job and get a better one, if it means coming up with a business idea in order for you to be able to get out of there, it's that boring stuff that ignites that fire in you for you to be able to make these decisions. Now, once you've gotten the motivation or the inspiration has kicked in, you have to put in the work. Getting inspired is one thing, getting motivated is one thing, but putting in the work is another thing. In order for you to become a doctor, despite of how passionate you are about medicine, you'll still have to study for 5 years, I think, depending on the country in which you live in order for people to call you a doctor, or in order for you to become a doctor. The same thing applies to whichever field you want to pursue. So if you want to be a musician, you still have to put in the work. If you want to be a filmmaker, you still have to put in the work for the people to call you a filmmaker. You need to show us films that you've made. In order for people to refer to you as a musician, you need to put out music that people can see. Just because you're passionate about music doesn't make you a musician. You still have to put in the work. You still have to put in the effort. A profession is never given, it's earned. Now, it doesn't matter how much effort you put into your passion. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll never make it. It's just that easy. It is what it is. That's the law of nature. You can't expect other people to believe in you when you can't believe in yourself. You've got to bet on you. There will always be another person out there that is better than you in whichever field you're trying to pursue. And that's fine. You don't have to compete with that person. Just put in the work, practice, and believe in your work. Now, everybody's gonna tell you have to follow your passion, which is good and which is true. But I'm gonna tell you not just to follow your passion until you're in a position where you can actually do that. In fact, I'm gonna tell you, instead of following your passion, pursue what you're good at. Your passion might be music, but you're good at teaching. So you can pursue a career in teaching, and since you're good at it, it's very easy for you to gain promotions and earn more money. And then once you've got the money, you can now finance your passion. But just because you're passionate about music does not mean you're a good musician. So you cannot bet on your passion, because you might be passionate about something, but you're not actually good at it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. For example, I'll give you an example. As a music producer, I've met a lot of artists who are actually very passionate about music. They are ready to spend money, they are ready to spend the night at the studio, they are always putting in the work, but I just feel the talent is not up to par. The talent is not the best, like they're not the best in the game, but they are very passionate about it. So if these guys, for example, decide to go all in on music, the chances of them failing are very high because they're just not good enough at this. But they're good enough at other things. So they've got the capacity to be able to pursue this passion of music simply because they can finance it. If you ask me, if I give you my own example, I was super passionate about football. That's what I always wanted to do. I always said I want to become a football player. But then later on, I came to realize, although I was above average when it came to football, I wasn't at an elite level. And in order for you to become successful in football, you're supposed to be at an elite level. But one thing that I was good at was storytelling and making music. The moment I decided to pursue a career in filmmaking and music production, it became easier for me to become successful in this industry. And now I get to do this every day, but also during my free time, I can just go out and play football. And now I enjoy playing football more because I don't have the pressure to become a successful football player. I suffered many injuries, I still have a problem with my knees, but whenever I go out to play football, I have fun. I enjoy doing it. I don't have to think about, oh, how many goals did I score today? Oh, were the scouts around? All that gone. But does it mean that I'm not passionate about football? No. Every weekend I've got to watch football. I love it. I enjoy it. I live football. But I get to do what I'm good at. And my passion for football remains there. This is gonna be extremely controversial, but don't get me wrong. Just be yourself is one of the greatest advices that somebody can give you, but it's also one of the worst. Let me explain. For example, behind the scenes I've always been a quiet, shy, introverted guy who never liked attention. But then I quickly realized that nobody gave a fuck about me. So sometimes I'd be in a room full of opportunities, but I'd shy away from showing what I had. I'd be invited to networking events and I'd just shy away from talking to people. I'd just shy away from networking, which is the main reason why I was there in the first place. And this would mean I just missed on a lot of opportunities that would help elevate my career to the next level. This completely slowed down my process and made it even harder. By just being myself, I was missing so much that I will just have gotten if only I will try a little bit harder. And now here's the thing. Be yourself in situations that require you to be yourself. Not every situation requires you to be yourself. For example, if you're a loud, rowdy guy, it makes no sense for you to be maybe a consultant and then you be yourself. You understand what I'm saying? At that point, you'll have to wear a mask and just become a quiet, calm guy in order for you to be able to talk to people, in order for people to find you likable. But if you're a loud and rowdy guy and you find yourself in a heavy metal band, then I can tell you, go ahead and be yourself, have fun, because it works in that environment. If you're socially awkward and somebody asks you to host an event, how are you gonna do that? Are you just gonna be yourself? The event is gonna be unsuccessful. At that point, you're gonna have to adjust to the situation. And that's the point. You can't always be yourself. You'll have to adjust to situations where you are. A situation that requires you to be yourself, just be yourself. But not every situation requires you to be yourself. At some point, you'll have to wear a fake smile. At some point, you'll have to wear a mask and just cover up yourself and be another person. The only thing is, in the process, just be careful not to lose yourself. A wise man once told me, if you are at the negotiating table and in your head you're not thinking, hell yeah, then the deal is probably not good enough and you should consider not taking it. I don't like talking that much about money, but I'll just give you my experience. What I know is that whenever a deal is presented to you and you're seated at the table, these people always expect that you are gonna negotiate. So the first offer that they give you, they always go under what they expect to give you. So let's say the deal is 10,000 euros or $10,000 for those in the US. They're gonna come to you and offer you 5,000 or 6,000. Then they leave the buffer for negotiation up there, because if they have a budget of 10,000 and then they just tell you 10,000 and you say no, I want 15, then they know they'll be in a mess whereby they can't pay that. So they'll come with a lower number expecting you to negotiate. And here's the thing, every time somebody approaches you with a deal, make sure you negotiate that deal. Always negotiate. Negotiate your salary, negotiate payments, negotiate everything. Why? Because companies and entrepreneurs try to maximize their profit. So they'll always bring something lower, hoping that you are going to accept it and they are going to make a profit out of that. So what you're supposed to do is, if you're offered 5,000, try to punch it to go to 7,500, around there. It will get there. As long as these guys have been impressed by you, they'll do anything to have you. That's the experience that I've had so far. I've always tried to negotiate each and every deal that I've been part of. And this is very important. Damn, I lost my train of thought. This is what happens when you don't write stuff down. Yo, this is Future Tony after losing my train of thought. Here's what I wanted to say. When you're seated at a negotiating table, you've got to always show that you are willing to walk away. That's a tactic that I came to learn in very later on in my career. Once you show that you're willing to walk away, those guys will be kinda desperate to give you a better deal. You understand what I'm saying? You should always be ready to walk out of any deal that you're involved in. Is it an employment deal? Is it just a one-off deal? You've got to show that you are willing to walk out of it, and that's how you get respect. The moment you show you're desperate to get it, they're gonna try to rip you off, and that's something that is actually a reality. It's sad, but that's how the game is played, and sometimes you've got to play the game the way they play it. You'll come to notice even at your place of work, there is an employee that does exactly the same things that you're doing, have the same qualifications, but they earn more than you. It doesn't mean that they're favored. It doesn't mean that they do better work than you. It's just that they negotiated better. And that's the thing. You cannot blame an employer for doing that, because they offered you something and you just said yes. So the employer is a businessman. He wants profit. So the moment you say yes, even if the salary is low, it's gonna be like, hell yeah, I've gotten a great deal. But when you're leaving the negotiating table, like I said, you should be the one who says hell yeah. And I'm not insinuating that you go and try to push for a win-lose situation. What I'm trying to say is, once you leave the table saying hell yeah, and the employer is also saying hell yeah, or the person that you're negotiating with. winning, it's a win-win situation because you don't want to ruin relationships in the long run. So as I said, if the budget is 10,000 and they offer you 5,000, then you manage to push it to 7,000. It's a win for you, but it's still a win for the person you're negotiating with. Why? Because although they were looking to save 5,000, they ended up saving 3,000, which is still fine. And for you, you ended up gaining an extra 2,000, which is great money anyway. You understand what I'm saying? Now, this is very important for me because I like honesty. And I'll just tell you, try as much as you can to earn your money honestly. Don't try ripping people off. I know a lot of successful people have become successful through ripping other people off. But I'm gonna tell you this, money that you've worked for just tastes different. That $500 check that you get from your blog or from your music or from your YouTube channel, that hits different than $1 million that you might have gotten through shady ways. I can tell you this because I found myself on both sides. That money that you earned honestly is just different. That money that you know, I put in my work, I put in the efforts, I did everything right, and then it comes, it doesn't matter how much it is, that money hits different. And I'm just gonna ask you guys, try your best to make sure that you earn an honest living. It might not be much, it might not be the sexiest thing ever said, but just for you to even feel the enjoyment of life, make honest money. And the last thing, avoid gambling and avoid greed. I don't have to explain that. So if you got value from this video, kindly give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Otherwise, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Blessings.